Now, residents in Israel have taken to the streets for 37 consecutive weeks to express their opposition to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposed judicial overhaul. Now, opponents say the legislation limits their Supreme Court's ability to impose checks and balances over the government's authority. The resistance has not deterred Netanyahu.
Democracy is supposed to be checks and balances of the three branches on each other. In Israel, the judiciary has no checks and no balances.
Former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, joins me now in Studio 57 to discuss this. A warm welcome to you. Thank you for being with us here on CBS News. Let's dive right into it. You've called Prime Minister Netanyahu's attempts to overhaul the judiciary de facto dictatorship. If this goes into effect, what would it mean to Israel's democracy?
I don't even want to think about it. We are not going to turn into de facto dictatorship, whether it's the Polish version, the Hungarian version, or the Turkish version. We are not there. We, the people, are defending our democracy against an attempt to destroy it from within. We are defending democracy. You should remember, democracy should be capable of defending itself against those who are using the very tools that it provides, the very freedom that it bestows upon the people in order to destroy it from within. And that's exactly what happened in Israel. It's not a judicial reform. Our Chief Justice, a lady named Ehud, defined the following way. Said this is not a reform, this is an attempt to crush the independence of Supreme Court and push Israel out of the family of democracy. That's exactly what happens, and we are not going to let it happen.
So it sounds like you joined those who are sounding the alarm over this, but Netanyahu is extremely popular, right? He's been elevated to prime minister some 5 times by now. That's the most in Israel's history. In your view, how much power does the far right have right now in Israel?
You know, first of all, you have to understand the situation in Israel. There is no constitution, no checks and balances, no bicameral parliament, no presidential, nothing whatsoever. The executive branch and legislative branch are already one. So it is only the Supreme Court which defends Israeli democracy and blocks government from doing whatever comes to its mind. And it's basically what Bibi created as an unholy alliance to save him from 3 criminal court cases. In Israel, 97% of criminal court cases ended with a guilty verdict. So he is doing whatever it takes to get rid of it in order to do this. He joined hands with extreme parties. One of them, the Messianic supremacist kind of racist party, is the equivalent of having taking the Proud Boys and making their leaders, one of them the state secretary for Treasury and the other one for Homeland Security. That's what happens now, and that's what we, the people, are standing firm and are not going to let it happen. Netanyahu had 5 elections in the last 3 years, out of which he could not establish a government. He does not enjoy any majority on these issues because he never talked about it in the election campaign. So he's very heavily isolated, desperate, almost kind of out of focus and balance. And his government is blatantly illegitimate, to my humble opinion, even illegal.
Wow.
When it tries to change the very system. They are trying to turn Israel from a place where government is limited. It cannot take whatever it wants against individuals or groups or minorities or LGBTQs or women or whatever, into a government that can do it, and we won't let it happen.
Clearly, you feel where the country is headed right now under Netanyahu is the wrong direction. It's a dire circumstance and situation.
I think
they might say that it's necessary for security and safety of the Israeli people. Also, you wonder, what does this do, the move to the hard right, to any efforts to create peace between Israelis and Palestinians, something you tried to champion, you tried to facilitate, but ultimately were unsuccessful? What are the hopes for that now?
I don't think that this government can accomplish anything of value. In fact, within 9 months, they caused huge damage to our economy, huge damage to our security, huge damage to our relationship with the United States, huge damage to the very cohesion of Israeli system. And you know, the heroes of this time are the pilots, the special forces reservists, the cyber fighters who announced that they will not serve under dictatorship. They will not serve if Bibi tries to pass even one of the laws that he has in his plan.
So what should happen now, then? Is it your view that people within government should not abide by what the government says to do?
We are heading into a civil nonviolent disobedience. This phenomena, which is equivalent of bringing 10 million Americans, 15 million Americans every weekend to demonstrate, after more than half a year, it's an extremely inspiring movement, impressive, and it will not stop. We will block these attempts on the life of Israel as democracy, and we will win this battle. It might take ups and downs, might take time. It might, some people might lose their life along the way. I told the people we will have to face toil and sweat and tears, hopefully no blood, but might be some violence, always comes from the right wing, but we will put an end to it, whatever the price will be.
Well, I certainly hear your message loud and clear. A former Prime Minister predicting there could be violence if this government continues
to move. There is already violence. People are kind of go under the wheels of cars, and there are some violence, but I'm confident that against all warnings, there will be no civil war in Israel. Right. No way to the... Netanyahu doesn't have troops, and he doesn't have the will and the ability or capability to do it. We will win through the most non-violent protest ever.
Well, I appreciate you coming here and discussing that and really putting an inflection point on what's happening in Israel right now. Former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, thanks for your time.
Thank you.